Hey, what's up guys? My name is Andrea and I make videos. Sometimes. Not very often, but more often than not, I make videos and don't edit them and don't post them. But I'm working on it. Today I'm going to be discussing and reviewing The Sun Is Also a Star book to movie adaptation. If you don't know what The Sun Is Also a Star is about, it is about a girl whose name is Natasha. Basically meets this guy named Daniel and they have a love story within one day, and they fall in love within one day. And the big key plot is that she is being deported the next day, which is why they only have a short amount of time to fall in love, to be together, to even meet each other and learn who each other is. That's my synopsis. If you haven't read it, if you haven't seen the movie, and you don't want to be spoiled because I'm going to be going in depth on both, then I would definitely not watch this right now. So I went to see this movie Wednesday. It came out on Thursday, the 17th, I think. So I went to see it, right when it came out because I was so hyped. Me and one of my best friends, Kindle, we read this book together. We talked about it, and then we were gonna go see the movie together, and we were just really excited. To say the least, we were very disappointed in The Sun Is Also a Star movie for several reasons. The key things about this movie is that there was no plot, and I feel like if you didn't read the book, you would be confused on several aspects of the movie. And if you did read the book, you would be extremely underwhelmed with the details in it, the plot, the characters, everything. So let me just get into the actual details. The Sun Is Also a Star is definitely mainly about Natasha and Daniel's relationship and falling in love, but there's also the pretty much driving force of the plot has to do with Natasha and her father. The whole reason that her family moved to America from Jamaica was because of her father, because he wanted to pursue an acting career. He moved to New York City to be on Broadway. He wanted to be this big actor, and that was why they even came to the United States. And so one night he got his first gig ever after years of being in America, and he let it go to his head, and he went out for a drink with his friends and spent money and all this stuff. And he was driving home and he got pulled over and he got a DUI, and that is why the police in the country found out that they were illegal immigrants in the United States. And so in the book, it was his fault, the father's fault, that they were getting deported. And I think that is a key thing because in the book, Natasha had very ill feelings to her father and to her mother, and their family was just kind of broken and it wasn't really a happy place. They lived in a one-bedroom apartment where her and her brother had to share the living room, split with a curtain. She had a rough life, and she had a story, and she had depth within her character. And all of this was left out of the movie. And to me, that was what made the book. That was what the point was that they were being deported, and that was the reason behind it. So I think that was a very important thing and something that you shouldn't leave out when making the movie. But for some reason, that whole storyline was not in the movie. And what makes me more mad is that the way that the movie portrayed the reason for the family getting deported was so poorly done. And I just have so many issues with that. In the movie, it's not until more than halfway through that we even find out why Natasha and her family are being deported. It was never said early on. It was never hinted at. It was just, oh, I'm being deported. I'm going to the attorney's office to try to get it appealed. But we never knew why. And whenever we do find out the reason, it was not because of the dad. It was literally explained in 2 sentences. And Natasha and Daniel are in the park or something, and she decides to tell him that a little bit of the story, and all she says is, yeah, they had a random ICE raid at my dad's work, and that's why we're getting deported. And then Daniel literally says, that sucks. Excuse me. And then they move on, and then they go off in another montage or something, and the movie just keeps going, and that was it. That was all that was said about that. And I just think that, especially today in the United States, in the whole world, to me, I don't see why they wouldn't have wanted to include an important message to give out to people or educate people on, you know, how these things affect the families and how it affects the people that still live in America. And for both of these characters that are minorities to just brush it off and just have Daniel say, oh, that sucks, like, and not go in depth with, you know, something. I understand not everybody wants to get political in a movie, but there's also, you know, a platform there, and that platform needs to be used for good and to shine light to people on the harsh realities that go on in the United States. And I just think that that was such a waste. It was such a waste. And when I saw that part of the movie, I just kind of was like, okay, this is ridiculous. I think they could have done that so much better. So I don't know, you know, a lot about movies, about filmmaking, things like that. I've never directed a movie. I've never created a movie, but I have seen movies. I guess you can consider me an avid movie watcher. I'm a consumer of movies. Something that shouldn't be excessively done in movies is montages. Me and Kendall were
shook.
We were
livid.
We were
angry
because there were so many montages in this movie. Like, there was literally more than 20 montages in the whole movie. And I understand you have to transition from scene to scene, but not every scene transition needs a montage. And this movie was set in New York City, and I feel like I have been to New York City. Even though I have never been in real life, I feel like I was basically there. I saw the skylines over and over. I saw the Statue of Liberty like 3 times, and just every single scene was a montage, and that was so ridiculous, I thought, because they could have used that time to implement the storyline about the dad. They could have added all these other characters. And if you've read the book, you know there's the minor characters and the minor stories, like Irene and how she was suicidal, and the way that within The Sun Is Also a Star, it's kind of a book that interweaves a bunch of people's lives, and you get everybody's different point of views, and you get all of their stories and how they connect and all these things. Well, that's not in the movie either. So we don't get to know about Irene and her suicidal and how Natasha basically saved her life. We don't get to know about the affair between the lawyer and his receptionist, and how it's breaking up his family, and how that causes Natasha to be deported because he's, you know, under like a lot of stress, and he's dealing with other things, and he's not in the right mind, and he's not thinking about his job to his full potential. And that's not in the movie. And, you know, all these side characters we don't get. And if you're gonna give me 20 to 30 montages, I guarantee you I would rather have that 20-30 minutes movie screen time to have on another storyline, on more characters, or just give me longer scenes in general with the characters that we do have, because every scene, I don't think any scene lasted like 10 minutes at all. And I just have a big problem with that, if you can't tell. Some things that I did like were, I did like the cast. I did like Natasha, the girl who played her. I didn't exactly see her personality from the book shine as much as I would have liked to, but I did see it at points. I thought she would be more witty, but in the movie she's just really kind of out there, and she's really bold and kind of has an attitude, and I don't know, she's just a lot, and in the book she's not like that as much. And Daniel's character did a good job, I think he is a good actor for sure. I think that he did a really good job portraying Daniel. I did like the older brother, Charlie. He was a good character choice also. I do wish they would have put his story in, and how he, you know, got kicked out of Harvard or wherever it was, and that's why his family was, you know, disappointed in him, and that's why it was so much pressure for Daniel to become a doctor, and that's why he had to make his interview and all that stuff. But we didn't really get that storyline. We did get a lot of background on Daniel and his family, more than Natasha's, which is kind of, you know, different since Natasha's our main character, but we did get more of Daniel, and his Asian culture, and we got this whole scene like about the wig making process in like Korea or something. And I mean, I like that. Like I know about it now, but I just don't know if that was the best time and the best placement of that scene, because there were other things that could have been talked about. So I think the priorities of what they wanted to put in the movie were off. The scene where Daniel and Charlie fight was in the movie, and that was something that I did like. I was waiting for that scene, and it stuck really close to the dialogue and all that. Basically everything between Daniel and Charlie stayed close to the dialogue. So I appreciated that because it was really entertaining in the book, and that was something I wanted to see on screen portrayed by people. So that was good for me. I did have one other problem. So the beginning of the movie starts out with Daniel laying on his bed, he had a shirt on, but it was like open, and we're supposed to see Daniel as a sentimental poet, a writer, a dreamer. He's not a realist. He is just in his head, and he has dreams, and he likes to think outside the box, and he's really, poetic and all these things. And instead we get Daniel half naked, and why is that the opening scene of the movie? I just don't understand. I don't think that was necessary. Overall, I just had really high expectations for the movie, I guess. And it didn't come through even halfway. I would give this movie a 2.5. I would give the book a 3.5, maybe a 4, because the writing was good. I liked the way that she interweaved all the different characters and how every basically chapter was a different point of view. I did like that, but the movie just didn't hit what it needed to. Before I go, I would just tell you that I did like the chemistry between Natasha and Daniel on screen. We got a lot of their physical relationship. They hugged a lot, held hands, they kissed, and all that stuff. And yes, that was important, but I think they did it more in the movie than it was even in the book, which was kind of, again, unnecessary. They could have done other things, other scenes, but that is what happened. The beginning of the movie, one of the first few scenes was it was a moment whenever Daniel saw Natasha for the first time, and it was not like the book at all. They were in like Grand Central Station, and there was a scene where Natasha was like looking up and just staring at the ceiling, and she literally looked possessed. I don't know what director saw that and thought that it was it, but that ain't it. Like, that ain't it. And it was just weird, and she looked possessed, and I was just like cringing. I was like, this is already off to a bad start. This was not in the book. They're already ruining it. We're only 10 minutes in, and me and Kendall looked at each other, and we're just like, wrong movie, like, what is this? And I had to say that because I didn't like that part at all. It was weird. There was a lot of weird things, and I didn't like it. Overall, go see it. No, I'm kidding. Go read it, definitely, and then see it, and then come back, comment, let's talk about it, because I want to know what other people thought, because I haven't talked to anybody else besides Kendall, and we had basically, mutual feelings about it. So I'd like to know if anybody else saw a lot of better things than I did, because there's just none that I could find personally. But if you did, let me know. I'd like to hear other people's point of views. So yeah, I guess that's it for this video. That's my review. I'm sorry if this was very negative, but that's just what I felt, and I did overall like it. I mean, I did enjoy it for what it was. I did enjoy the scenes that were good, and with Natasha and Daniel's romance, because I'm such a romantic, and but that wasn't enough. That wasn't even enough to save this movie for me. And I'm a big romantic, but it wasn't enough. Like I said, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I am hoping to get started on posting more for you guys, so hopefully this makes it to the screen. Hopefully this makes it onto YouTube, but I don't know, because I'm a mess. Well, yeah, that's it. I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!